Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner. This is episode number 186, and we are going to be doing a special episode tonight as we talk about the upcoming Space 1999 event, which has been listed as Calgary 1999, which will be taking place in Calgary, Alberta, Canada next month. And with me to discuss this is Mr. Warren Friedrich, Mr. David Hirsch, and Mr. Bob Wood. Welcome, guys. How are you tonight?
How you doing?
Doing good. Welcome. Nice having you on the show.
Nice being
here. And very excited about, there's a lot of stuff, Space 1999 coming up this year, and this is going to be the kickoff. Mm-hmm. So great to have you on and great to hear about the stories and to discuss. And Warren, before we get into that, I think we should give both David and Bob a plug. What do you say?
I think that's completely viable. Gentlemen, you guys have done a lot in the last couple of years with your work on your book projects. So let's start off with that, because those are still on everybody's radar here and of course available. And to tie into Calgary, you gentlemen are going to be coming en masse with some books, and people can even have them signed and things like that. But yeah, tell us a little bit more about the project.
And this will be probably one of the rare occasions that you'll get the two of us together to sign at the same time.
That's right. Although maybe in London.
Well, yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, you know what's really interesting, and I was just talking about this with Shari today, because we were talking about the event and everything, and I was saying it's really interesting because Bob and David have not actually seen each other since in person since the Space 1999 event, which was in 2019. And the fact that you collaborated on these two books, did it, via, the internet and the powers that be, is really impressive. And that just goes to show you how technology has made things possible. Not that it couldn't have been done before that, but it definitely would have been a lot harder.
Well, the funny thing about it is the fact that we write in our first book about the difficulties of American writers working on the series with an English production base, and how difficult it was back then. And for the two of us, we're collaborating 3,000 miles apart, and it was a lot easier. So technology made a big difference.
Yeah, we also joked that we were kind of grateful for the lockdown because it really kind of gave us a bunch of time to work.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to welcome our viewers that are out there too. I see Randy Lee is joining us. Welcome, Randy. He's saying we're starting 9 minutes after the top of the hour, so we're right on time.
Right on, yeah.
Martin is joining us from New York State. Welcome, Martin.
Hey, Martin.
And Christian is also joining us from Canada. Welcome, Christian.
Hi.
Jeff Rubel is joining us from out west from Utah. Welcome, Jeff. And I see Colin Curlis is in the house. He's joining us from the UK. Welcome, Colin. And Christian is saying hello back to everybody, as well as Martin. And Shari is joining us from downstairs, and she's saying hello to everybody. And also I see Nick McCarty's actually out there too. Welcome, Nick. Great to see you out there as well too. So just wanted to make sure we said hello to everybody.
And how many of you are coming to Calgary?
Yes.
Well, we'll see. We actually got quite a good response right out of the gates when we had finally got around to posting hotel information and things like that.
Yeah.
But before we go there, guys, how do we as far as your books go? I mean,
of course, Martin, bring it. We sign.
Yeah, absolutely. But the amount of research and you guys, with the way you put your heads together at Roy's conventions and came up with these ideas, you both had valuable resources and information available to you, and it was just really nice after all these years. Especially, there's so many things, like Roy said, going on, and going into the 50th, and so many things we should be thankful for. And these two books are just treasure troves of valuable information for any fan. So thank you.
We were grateful that Martin Landau was as big a pack rat as I am. So we found all this wonderful stuff, and then a lot of other people, who helped us, unearth stuff like Martin Willie. We couldn't have done it without them.
Yeah. Well, and it was just a matter of David having a certain amount of material, I had a certain amount of material, and together it was the right amount. And we were really, really lucky that we had a lot of stuff that no one knew and had never seen before. We decided to share it.
Yeah.
Together and share it.
Yeah.
Well, they also came at a really great time too, because with everything that's leading up to this time period with the series is definitely getting a lot more attention. There's been a lot of Facebook groups out there. There's a lot of fan participation. I mean, the conventions have been going on, and folks, there's a new generation of Space 1999 folks out there too, which we learned from the Space 1999 virtual convention that Warren headlined, last year and the year before. And the fact that folks, the one positive from the pandemic, I mean, was how you were saying too, that you were able to collaborate because, being at home. However, folks were not able to travel in person. However, events that they normally wouldn't be able to go to because of many reasons and whatever they may be, whether it being, too far away or maybe even expenses, the fact that you could join virtually and come together and then see a lot of folks that had not actually, that were behind the series and never had participated before. So the doors have really opened up, and it's at a very special time. The show started production in November of '73, so we are literally coming up on the 50th anniversary. 50th anniversary, I mean, if you really want to get technical, is going to transcend into 1976 by December. So the fact that everything with this is happening is just very exciting. So great times ahead.
No, well said, Roy. And even yourself with this show, I mean, you've done some wonderful things the last couple of years. And you touched on those virtuals. I mean, that's something that you and Bob and David and I all collaborated on that had never been done or attempted before. Very, very proud of those results because and primarily it was, I mean, I couldn't believe the number of people signing up for this. And we all think we know everybody within fandom. That's not the case. There were so many people on those two virtual events that had never attended a 1999 con before, and they were so grateful. So that was very nice.
Can't travel, don't have the ability to travel, financially or whatever, to do a convention as much as they would like. There's a lot of stuff going on that I haven't had the opportunity to go to. I wish I could, but it's not always possible, especially
Warren, you've mentioned that there are some names coming to the Calgary event that are people that we haven't met before. So that's exciting. Fun.
Yeah, absolutely. As we gear back into these live events, then, of course, we came up with this after our unfortunate second delay for London. But, again, it was all about spinning things into a positive. So we did a second virtual. And then, this is something Calgary, Bob and I had talked about for years, right? There's been, like I said in the press release today, there's some DNA that goes back several years with certain people with doing something in Canada or Western Canada. And I knew from my years of traveling and being a vendor at the comic conventions all over Western Canada that there was a big draw. There was a big fan base. Some of those people I met ended up coming to Roy's two events, right, in 17 and 19. I knew right away that there'd definitely be a fan base in Western Canada to support it. And that's been the case. There's been a lot of people signing up, a lot of people in and around Calgary really excited and helping us share and get the word out there.
Yeah.
Good times. I want to say hi to Dan Rodriguez. He's joining us. Dan, welcome. He's joining us from Pennsylvania. And I also see Shazmac is out there. Welcome. Good to see you out there as well, too. And Christian just commented, a 3 years celebration for the 50-year anniversary.
Why not? We waited this long. Let's milk it a little bit.
So why don't we
could celebrate the first day of shooting. We could celebrate the last day of shooting. We could celebrate the first day of airing. We got plenty of dates that we can do this,
We have this covered. But as we delve into Calgary, so this is coming up, and this is the dates for the event in Calgary. It's going to be the 28th of April into May 1st. So really, Warren, you were just saying just a couple hours ago, this is 6 weeks away.
Yeah,
Go,
it's hard to believe. Yeah.
So in regards to where this is taking place, just to let everybody know, this is going to be at the Calgary Marriott downtown at 110 9th Avenue Southeast in Calgary. If you have not booked a room yet, Warren, in regards to that, they can go to destination moonbasealpha@yahoo.com.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We've the deal we worked with the hotel is sort of come and gone. We had a special rate for a few weeks there throughout February. Let me just say that if anybody happened to miss out on that, I did hang on to a couple extras. I don't have a lot, but yeah, if you'd like to take advantage of this special rate, we have a couple nights available. I mean, we've got things planned basically from the Thursday evening to the Monday, but we've got some Friday and Saturday availabilities that'll still save you some money. So please reach out, destination moonbasealpha@yahoo.com, and we can make arrangements for that.
Very cool. And then there's the Facebook page that's also dedicated to this as well, which is at Space 1999 50th Anniversary Celebration.
Yeah, for any news and updates on things. I think the way this was born, guys, I mean, when you hear that term relaxicon, I mean, it is exactly that, right? I mean, it was just sort of devised as an idea, an opportunity to get together with our space friends and family. And of course, like you guys were saying earlier, I mean, it's not just a David and Robert. I mean, this is the first opportunity we've all had to see each other since the pandemic, right? And so I'm very excited about that prospect of hanging out with you guys. It'll be a fun weekend.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that it's been 3.5. It literally will be 4 years in September.
Yeah.
I mean, what the heck? I mean, it's insane. I mean, I think on the 18th of this month, which is this coming week, it's going to be 3 years really where things started shutting down here in the US. The pandemic. I mean, that in itself is crazy.
Yeah.
Now we're going to have to make up for lost time and do something every year for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I want to welcome May is out there joining us. May Barr, welcome. And I also see that Andrew is joining us, and Andrew is joining us from Australia. He's saying, hello, guys, Space 1999 forever. Welcome, Andrew. And then I also see Nancy Ill is out there, and she says she's tuning in from Calgary, looking forward to the event.
Well, we would expect her to be there then.
There we go. There we go.
Great.
And May Barr, that's of course a pseudonym, but I know May very well, and she's from Edmonton, Alberta, a couple hours north of Calgary, and she ended up coming, like I said, to Roy's 2 events. She was such a fan. I met her just doing the convention circuit, and I mean, she's been a big supporter of events ever since 2017.
No, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. So yeah, we are going international here, folks. Yeah. So go ahead, Warren.
No, I'm good.
I was just going to say then, so in regards to the itinerary that that's been developed for this, so essentially Thursday night is going to be the 27th, and that's going to be the welcome night, right, Warren?
Yeah, absolutely. So if anybody's flying in Thursday, they can take advantage of. It'll probably just be an informal gathering in the hotel lounges or restaurants in and around the facility, just for everybody to get to know each other. Maybe some quick introductions all around. I mean, it's hard to say how many people are going to be there for things like this, but that'll be a way for us all to get together and kick things off nicely the Thursday evening.
We'll be there. We'll be there.
Yeah, of course.
That should be enough.
Yeah. Absolutely. I like the way you think. Yeah.
And then Friday, there's going to be a day trip to Drumheller, and that's in Alberta. And that's
absolutely. Yeah. So Drumheller is about an hour and 30 minutes away from Calgary. It's sort of northeast, Bob, would you say? Yeah.
Yes, northeast.
From Calgary, and I think I've been there once just in passing, but I've never been there to this world famous museum, the Tyrrell Museum, and I've never seen any of the Badlands that I've been learning more about. I had no idea, but yeah, we'll start with that Tyrrell Museum. And Bob, you've actually been there. Is there anything you could provide detail wise on that?
Yeah, I've been to the Terrell Museum a number of times over the years, and it is an incredible facility. It's a world-class facility, and anyone will be amazed by it. Really, truly, it's very, very impressive. Yeah,
Is that where they have the crazy landscape?
they do. Yeah, I mean, the Drumheller area is called the Badlands, and it has this weird, different, landscape to it. Interestingly, what was the sci-fi series that Spielberg did on a different planet a couple of decades ago? I think it was Spielberg. They ended up shooting in Utah or something like that.
Earth 2?
Earth 2, yeah, that's right. So Earth 2, the other location that they were considering filming, it was in the Badlands, in the Drumheller area.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me.
There's a shot, I think, of some of the famous formations.
I keep popping in and out here because I'm just getting over a cold. So excuse me.
Oh, no worries.
No,
Yeah,
don't worry.
I mean, Warren sent me these photographs earlier today, and especially the one that I have up on the screen right now. That is incredible. Those rock formations are amazing.
Yeah, it does really look otherworldly, doesn't it?
I know people are going to bring their Eagle models, but they should bring their Jupiter 2 models too.
Seriously.
Right. Yeah.
I know. It looks like the crash landing on Columnist, the pilot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's so much going on in and around Drumheller. That's why we sort of dedicated now a whole day. So the entire Friday will be coming and going from the museum, and then making these little jaunts nearby Drumheller, and some opportunistic photo ops and things like that, I'm sure, to be had along the way with everybody. So it should be fun.
I think it's kind of fun too that there actually are a couple of dinosaur connections to Space 1999. In the full circle, of course, there's the giant footprint, and in Rules of Luton, there's the dinosaur skeleton that's been killed by the vines, the plants. So it actually there is a space connection to it.
Sure. Absolutely. That, and on top of that, Roy and I have actually been to Luton because we went to Black Park back in 2014, and we saw the famous river embankment where it just right out of the episode with the trees sort of growing up sideways out of the ground, and that was something else.
Yeah, that left a lasting impression. I mean, just to be able to, well, the one thing, we went to Black Park, and to be able to walk through there, and you're just like looking up at those trees, and you're reminded of like that one shot when they come down and they're photographing in the morning, and then they have I think Nick is driving the moon buggy, and you have that scene that was just like incredible. And not only that, when you think about all the movies that had been filmed, all the Hammer films and all the
Hammer films, Doctor Who did some shooting there, UFO shot there as well.
Yes, UFO. And then, like Warren was saying, that little area where they crossed in the lake and everything, and during the filming of the Rules of Luton, it was just so much history there. So that was really, really cool.
And we're going to go back next year. That's still on the agenda to tie that into London for sure. Is to take a trip out to Pinewood and Black Park for sure.
Yeah. I look forward to that. I've never done that before, so that'll be great.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Pinewood has changed dramatically since I was last there. So.
Oh, and Nancy's even saying, and Nancy, if you've been there, hey, I mean, let's connect, and maybe you can help provide some guided tours of the area if you know where to go quickly and easily. That'd be wonderful. And the hoodoos, yes, I've heard about that as well. That's Bob. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, well, we've been showing a picture of hoodoos.
That is that's the rock formation.
The geologic, formation. It's just caused by, I think it's just caused by a particular kind of rock being on the top of it, and that stops the erosion of what's below, and everything around it erodes. So you end up with those. What you end up with those, cones of stone and sand and all that stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's
awesome.
very, very unique.
See how they're capped by a piece on top, and that's what's protecting them from the erosion.
Well, it's like David was saying, it's like the where they filmed, and I forget where they actually did that too. I think they did it excuse me, for I think it was out in the desert, wasn't it, for when they did Lost in Space.
Yeah. There are videos on YouTube where
they went back.
They went back just before the pandemic
Yep.
to shoot a Jupiter 2 model that was cast off the original Gemini 12.
Right.
Or may have been the original Gemini 12 model. And they shot it flying over the same area. They recreated the whole effect. So just look for Gemini 12 crash, I think, on YouTube, and it comes up.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And then also the other rock formations I immediately think of is Vasquez Rocks. I mean, in fact, when we were out there for Barbara Bain's star ceremony in 2016, when I went from the airport, I said, you know what, this is on the bucket list. And what I did was I looked it up in the GPS and went to Vasquez Rocks, and I was like, wow, this is just. And of course, just like anything else, you know, it always seems a lot bigger on television and more vast. Yeah. It's amazing. It's just like two formations that they have, and how they worked it in, and just with the different camera angles and everything. Yeah. And that was really amazing.
That's a lot easier to get to than the Jupiter 2 crash site, because from what they show on the on YouTube, you have to park and then walk quite a bit to get to it, because it's some kind of like national park area.
Right, because I remember reading that they had a hike with all that equipment and the model and everything, and that was and it was like an hour or so of doing that.
Yeah.
And then there's also driving in LA, right, Bob? I remember we were driving around.
Yes. I've lived here in New York most of my life, so when I was in LA traffic, I was like, it's just traffic. Well, that's the big deal.
That's crazy. That was like 7 years ago already. I don't know. Time is just flying. I'm in a time warp. Don't mind me. And then we're coming up on Saturday, so I'm actually putting that in the comments section. Warren.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Saturday is going to be, of course, probably the most convention-centric day out of our weekend. So, of course, we're going to have a model and prop exhibit. We're going to have lots of things going on with Nick Tate and signing. We're going to have these two fine gentlemen over here with signing as well. We've also got a confirmation that a gentleman is coming from further down east in Canada. His name's Bill Altenberg. He was actually on the part of the second virtual. And a really nice guy and expert modeler, and in particular the 3D printing and modeling aspect. He's just done some amazing work, so he'll have lots of that available as well for sale.
Yeah, I've sent him a lot of reference shots, especially when he did space dock, so it was as authentic as possible for that scale.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we need to bring cash.
Yes, lots of cash and empty luggage.
Of course, yeah, and I mean, photo ops, of course. I mean, for anybody who hasn't met Nick, I mean, I'm sure there'll be lots of excitement, surrounding his appearance, his first appearance in Western Canada that I know of. I think it'll be a fun and exciting day, and we'll have a couple other merchandise tables, of course, on hand as well. So bring your checkbooks if you still carry a checkbook nowadays. And all the deals, of course. No, for sure.
Of course, Canadian customs notwithstanding, I'm bringing Eagle 11, the original Eagle model. So we'll definitely have at least one original prop.
Right.
We're working on others to have, but it's people are traveling with stuff, so it's always, you never know.
Yeah. And that's and thanks David for that. I mean, we appreciate it.
And if anyone has an in with Canadian customs, please leave a good word for them, because I'm a little nervous about this, but
I'm sure it'll be fine. They won't even question you. They're not going to ask you whether you have any science fiction models that you need to declare.
No, they'll want to know what's in it, because the one time I flew back to London with the Brains puppet from Thunderbirds, everyone was like, what's inside the head? And that was before 9/11. So,
oh boy,
it'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm going to hold everyone to that.
And that's something, you know what, if anybody out there even watching tonight knows of anybody close by with any sort of original props or replicas, Bob and I are also going to be bringing a few things. So we're going to have some artwork, and we'll have some original scripts on display. We'll have some pieces from the Martin Landau. Look at, see,
That's one right there.
we're gonna put together a really nice little Space 1999 exhibit, and of all original props and set pieces, and I think it'll be real exciting for people.
I'm pointing at Keith Wilson's original design drawing for Gwent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so.
That is amazing.
And another one appears in our book that Rob has. You'll get to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because that's only a segment of it.
Yes.
No, very cool.
Well, it fits the page.
As well as you were saying, original scripts as well too. So that'll be really, really cool.
Yeah. Oh, and command center panels, or original set pieces used in the series. Yeah. Yeah, lots of fun things. But yeah, and David, I mean, thank you again. I mean, we really appreciate you bringing Eagle 11 all that way. Is just
yeah.
Really
I wish I could have brought the lot that I brought to Roy's conventions, but it's just not possible.
No, that's fine. And that's fine. And then the other thing, of course, on that Saturday is going to be the big day for anybody attendance with Jeffrey Morris's filming of the documentary. So Jeffrey's going to be there on primarily focused on that Saturday to capture some footage and hopefully some interviews and just the overall general excitement of everything we have going on, and of course incorporate that in his upcoming documentary.
Yeah, and he partnered with 0.0, and I guess, and they're pretty big because they're affiliated with was it Parts Unknown? Anthony Bourdain is
right.
Show, and then what was it? David Letterman. My next guest needs no introduction. I think it was what it was called. So there's a lot of connections with that. So the fact that they're on board with this project is very exciting. So there's a lot of credibility with that, and he's been consulting with us and speaking with us and reaching out to the fans. He's got Brian Johnson that's involved with this, and Nick Tate, and then hoping to get George Lucas and Brian May involved with this. So it's an exciting time, like we were saying earlier, in regards to Space 1999 and the attention that it's getting just outside of our realm, but hopefully, in regards to a documentary that's going to be in the forefront. So
and he met Brian just recently, just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, which is
great that he's on board because he's the father.
Yeah.
I think that between Brian and Roy and I helped introduce Jeffrey to Nick. I mean, those were the two people that were all saying, if you're going to do a documentary on the Eagle, you got to get Brian, you got to get Nick, and it's all worked out. Everything's fallen in place so nicely, and it's very exciting to be considering what we're going to have available to us within the next 12 months or so.
Right.
Yeah, Nick seems very excited about it too. So it was kind of cool to see them interacting together too, because Brian, whatchamacallit, Jeffrey had never met him before. So when they came together and then just exchanging stories, it just everything was gelling. So it was very, very positive with that. So, and then we just got he's been giving us a behind the scene look at some of what's been developing with the trailer. So in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, we are going to be having Jeffrey on the show, and we will be showing the trailer that's going to be preceding this documentary. So we're very excited about that. So stay tuned, folks, and then he'll be able to share a little bit more information about what's going to be coming down the pike in regards to that. So the Saturday of the convention, there's going to be a lot going on. The Relaxicon, this Calgary event. So we're hoping that you're going to really enjoy it, and we're very excited about it and just getting together, because the best part of it is we're all friends, and when you think about it and you just stop to hit the brakes, this series was on from 75 to 77 in essence. I mean, it was produced over 4 years, but it was shown at least for the first time between 75 and 77. The fact that it is endured from 48 episodes, 49 if you call, talk about the one that was done, Message from Moonbase Alpha, at the 1999 event, that it's lasted that long and has circulated internationally and has continued to bring fans together who have become friends. I mean, I one of the most moving moments to me was meeting Barry Morse in '99, and when he was being introduced, and I had heard that he did this, and he would be introduced, he'd go up and be saying hi to the fans. He would pull out his camera and he would be taking pictures of the fans that were in the audience, and it was just like such a warm moment, because it wasn't just like, okay, there's somebody that we recognize from the TV screen. This is somebody that was really feeling connected to us and related with us and interacted with us, and for the most part, that's how it's always been. And it's pretty special. And you think about how everybody has stayed connected over these years, and it's just pretty amazing.
Well, it was always wonderful that so many of not just the principal actors, but everybody else in the show really appreciated that people, had such fond memories of their work. I mean, the production people, so many of them went without credit, and now so many of them are known worldwide, thanks to the fans. I remember when The Making of Space 99 came out, and like Martin Bauer telling me, my name's not in the book at all, because all they were talking to were the primary people that were moving, doing all the work on the show. It was just not thought of at the time that you're going to mention people like Quentin Pierre, who was in every episode.
Yeah.
But he never talked. He was a background actor, but he was there, and the fact that people know him now.
And I think that, Roy, you were talking about how there are such amazing friendships that have, grown amongst everybody over all the years. I think that, in a way, it actually transcends friendship and it becomes a family.
Mm-hmm.
I think that so, there's a whole bunch of us. We would do anything we can for each other, and I think that that's a really special thing that 1999 brought about. And the actors were a part of that as well, in many ways, and still are. I mean, Nick is doing this, and Anton is always fantastic whenever we get to see Anton.
Absolutely.
A lot of them have been amazing. And also, this ties in with Calgary as well, but the opportunity to do these little relaxicons, and this is a selling pitch for people who may be on the edge of thinking about coming or not still, but the opportunity to get to have a weekend with Nick Tate in this case, or with any actor, when a relaxicon like this happens, you get incredible opportunities to just have personal time with this person, not all of us as well, but it's a great opportunity, and it's a really special thing I don't think it happens in hardly any fandom, other than ours.
And this is not the crazy thing like Comic-Con, if that's your only experience, that you're going to be a room with thousands of people. It's a small, intimate thing, which is what was so great about Roy's conventions. I hadn't done a convention in about 30 years. And it was they were all nice, intimate conventions where, you go into the restaurant and the actors are like, come on, sit down with me, let's have dinner together. Yeah. And that doesn't happen at larger conventions. That's the great thing about this. You're going to get, a lot of personal time with people.
Yeah, and I think what you said too, Bob, is really, really true. I think family really is the key word right there too, because we are a family with the way we're all connected.
I saw Claudia's comment saying that as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. We won't loan money to each other, but we're okay for everything else.
No, this is, and from an organization standpoint, guys, I mean, this is something that really, this is important to me, just like it was, Roy, in your case, to have those events, close to you in your own backyard, to be hosting all these people from all over the world. It's a very special feeling, and I feel very honored and privileged to be able to do this. It's like I said, this goes back. I mean, Bob, you used to live there. There's a certain aspect to space, and even thinking back to the original broadcast that brought all of us as Canadians together, because it was actually broadcast simultaneously nationwide on the CBC, which didn't even happen in the US. And so there was things that brought us together that we didn't even
happen in the UK.
Right.
Like yeah. That's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah, and Bob, I'll give you a funny example here. I mean, you and I, of course, met many years later, but the one thing we were able to talk about in talking about our remembrances of watching space, this gets me every time where we start reminiscing about how the CBC actually played the Mark of Arcanon 4 weeks in a row. And because of that, that's now you hate that episode just with a passion because the CBC aired it mistakenly.
Well, that's not why I hate the episode. There's a long list of reasons why I hate the episode.
And that's not one of them. Martin is saying this is going to be his first visit to Canada, so that's pretty cool.
Wonderful.
And then Dan is saying, I was thinking about taking another car to maybe take to the convention if my family is feeling generous. Oh boy.
Oh, you got to take that car, huh?
And also for people who have maybe never been to a convention before, it's a very welcoming group of people. It's very, very easy to come in not having met anybody and instantly, make friends and feel at home. It is very friendly and very welcoming.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be hugging it out, all of us.
Yeah, and there's nothing more important than that, especially when you think about folks that are traveling from all ends. And I mean, I remember going to California in '99. Now, I was rooming with Lou and Lou Place, and again, there's another example. I've known Lou since 1987, and it was because of Space 1999, and we've had a friendship for 36 years, which is incredible.
Lou and I go back even further.
Yeah, so that's just another example of that. But going out to California, not knowing anybody, and just getting into the hotel where the venue was taking place, and then just meeting fans that were doing the setup, and everyone was very welcoming, and it was a great feeling considering you're 3,000 miles away from home, and you've never in a place you've never been before.
Yeah.
And you're meeting up with one person that knows everybody, and I pretty much didn't know anybody, so it was pretty cool.
And now look at you know everybody.
I don't know about that, but
I get more news of what everyone is doing from you than I do when you talk to them. Nobody calls, so I have to hear from you.
I know who uses the phone anymore, right? Everything's done through text.
Well, not even that. It's like you get your emails answered. I don't. I'm still waiting for Nick to get back to me from a trip to California 3 years ago.
That's funny because actually I did actually speak with Nick today about flights coming up, and he was joking about the fact that he quite often loses track of his email, so he's considering opening up a secondary account to keep track of the important stuff, and it doesn't so things don't get lost.
Yeah. Well, then maybe I'll get an answer at some point.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. You're up there.
No,
Roy is very connected.
I was a good guy. I let him hold Eagle 11. I was afraid he was going to drop it, but
It's the answer when you're in Calgary.
Yeah, he still has a second chance. Oh dear.
No, for sure. But so that's going to be the big Saturday, guys, and we'll just Sunday really quickly. There's lots of possibilities. There's going to be so much going on that weekend. So there's going to be lots of possibilities. Sunday, I think primarily now we're going to focus on going to Vulcan, which is only an hour and 15 minutes away, sort of in a different direction, sort of southeast of Calgary. But for anybody who's even a casual Star Trek fan, this should be on your bucket list to go to Vulcan, Alberta, and at least stop by the post office and send yourself a postcard from Vulcan. Very, very cool little town. I've been there several times. I'm sure Bob's been there a couple times, and of course, it's just there's so much to see and do in a small confined area. That's actually Leonard Nimoy's handprint in the cement there from when he visited. And yeah, the entire visitor center is set up. It's built. It looks like a UFO, but when you walk inside, it's. I mean, there's merchandise and memorabilia and costumes and games and everything imaginable. And then, of course, the very famous Enterprise that we saw out front sort of greets you as you enter the town. So it's a fun little place to go. We won't be spending nearly as much time there as say on Friday when we go to Drumheller, but again, it's just for the sake of people coming from all over the world. If you're a Star Trek fan, you got to go to Vulcan. It's I think it'll be a nice little stop along the way.
Very cool.
Mhm.
And then for Monday.
Right. Yeah. So then Sunday, just really quick on Sunday. I mean, the other things. I mean, that's not going to take a lot of time, Vulcan, but we might still have some opportunities to have Nick sign some autographs. But of course, we're going to be staying right across the street from the world famous Calgary Tower as well. If anybody wants to take a trip up there, again, it doesn't take very long, 20 minutes. You're up and down again, but beautiful views and whatnot. And then, yeah, the big expo. There's going to be 80,000, 100,000 people roaming around Calgary that weekend. And that's, of course, going to be walking distance from our hotel as well. So we're likely to see quite a few cosplayers and things like that roaming around and potentially even some celebrities staying at our hotel. So it'll be a lot of fun from that perspective. And then on Monday, of course, that's going to be a day trip to Banff. And this is the one that Nick's really looking forward to. Banff is world renowned for its scenic views and beautiful lakes in and amongst the Rocky Mountains. There's a nice shot of the little town, so it's very touristy and it's known for all of these little shops and stores along the way. Lots of window shopping that you can do and spend time just wandering around the town itself. And then the other thing we're going to shoot for and aim for is a trip to one of the lakes. I talked to Bob about that. And of course, going up one of the mountains in a gondola. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the lake. I mean, if we're only going to one, I think it has to be Moraine Lake, which is incredibly spectacular. If anyone wants to look it up, you can just Google Moraine Lake, Banff Park, and you'll see pictures of it. Banff is about an hour and a half from Calgary, and then Lake Louise and Moraine Lake are a little bit further than that. Maybe not. I'm not sure exactly how much further. Maybe I want to say 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes further. So, but that has to. It's a must do. I mean, it has to be done. It's not an option because people are traveling long distances. People are coming from, across the continent or from other continents. It is, something you have to do to get to see the Canadian Rocky Mountains, but not just that, to see one of the most spectacular locations in North America. So
it would be nice if we could do that on Sunday and do Vulcan on Monday, but yeah,
it's a full day trip though. The Banff trip, Banff and the mountain lake. It's going to be a full day trip. I think it's not like it's not a short little excursion because probably say 4 hours of driving, plus in between, if you go from, well, anyways, say 4 hours of driving, and then however long you spend actually in Banff wandering around, plus a gondola. I mean, it's going to be a day. It's going to be a day trip. And Nancy loves Banff, so that's awesome.
It sounds like it's a full day for sure, though.
Yes.
Yeah. And as far as, and that's a good point, David. I mean, but the reason I want to keep Sunday open with some shorter trips is, again, it's going to be based on overall attendance, because if there's interest and demand for it, we might potentially roll over the prop and model exhibit into the Sunday, right?
Yeah. No, because my only thought was the fact that we have to leave Monday morning. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, it's too bad, but we're still going to get you there regardless. I think between.
I appreciate that. I just thought if we could all do it together, it might be better to flip that because, if we, Vulcan, I could do or don't do, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah. but overall, I think, and somebody just commented there. I think Jeff said he just looked up Moraine Lake and said it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Nick is really looking forward to that, and just joining us in general. I mean, in our initial talks between Roy and myself and Nick, I mean, he was just you could tell he's just I mean, sure, we're going to have the convention related activities there, but I mean, he really is more about just coming and spending time with all of us. And like Bob said, I mean, space fandom in general is rare from that perspective, but on top of that, with this being a relaxicon, those opportunities I think are even going to be more prevalent this weekend than any other.
How many
I don't
people
think
have gone
since the 2019 one either? So
sorry, Dave?
I don't think he's done a convention since Roy's 2019 one either.
No,
So,
I don't think so. So yeah,
I think that's why he's looking forward to it, because it gives him an opportunity to get out.
Yeah, he's been starting back with some of the traveling, like him and his family just this year went to Australia over the Christmas holidays. Everything is a slow process after the way that the world, like we all said, the world ground to a halt 3 years ago. It's hard to believe. Yeah. So, and Bob, you had said how many people so far?
How many people have confirmed for the day trip to Banff?
We've probably got about a dozen so far.
Okay. So you're going to be chartering a little bus or something.
Yeah, I'll look into a little bus, a little shuttle of some kind, things like that to get everybody to and fro. Of course, we'll all share those expenses equally, and I think it'll all work out. We've got a few more days for people to get back to us in regards to the day trip. So if you haven't yet, just drop us a line and say, hey, yeah, I'm in for one or both or all three or what have you. And we'll make allowances to find space for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but people have to let you know, and they have to let you know quite quickly, because
we're getting right down.
Warren is so relaxed about these things, but seriously, people, like, there should be some pressure on this. You need to commit, and because Warren needs to know the numbers. And the reason I'm saying that is because you've got to charter a bus or something for this, and that's not just in terms of transport. Like, we can't just figure out carpooling or something, because Moraine Lake, they changed the access this year, and private vehicles are no longer able to access Moraine Lake. You have to be in a bus, a shuttle of some kind. And so those slots, I mean, they're probably booking those as well, the bus companies. So we need to get the right bus confirmed, and then we need to get the bus company to book the reservation to go into Moraine Lake. And these things, I mean, we're 6 weeks away. We're running out of time, for some of those stuff. So people, seriously, you need to confirm now to Warren your attendance, your desire to be at these things, or the bus won't be big enough and you won't get to go.
Yeah. Or you'll have to make it there on your own, and you run.
Nobody's allowed to ride on top of the bus.
No, you're right, Bob. But thanks
for work out the last time, so we're not going to do it again.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that from personal experience, David?
I've run after buses, but I've never been on the top.
Nancy also commented. She said that road is also open seasonally, so it might not be open at the end of April.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's a few logistics, and you're right, Bob. I mean, thanks for sort of lighting a fire under my butt, because we need to lock some of these things and have these logistics laid out within, say, the next week or two before we get into April. Because then even it might be too late to book things. Who knows, right? So the sooner people can get back to us, the better. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, it can't wait because it'll be too late. And if Nancy's yes, it is a seasonal access road up to Moraine Lake. If it's not open because the weather hasn't been good enough, then we'll still be going to Lake Louise instead. And Lake Louise is much more famous. A lot of people go to Lake Louise and they never go to Moraine Lake. And Lake Louise is very, very beautiful as well. So I just think
a backup plan. That's good.
Yeah. And that's not a seasonal access. Lake Louise is open year round.
Okay, cool. That's good to know then. Martin said he can do Vulcan, but he's going to be on an AM flight and will not be able to do Banff on Monday. So
yeah. I had the same problem. It's just there's limited flights out of New York that are direct. There's one, and that's it. And we couldn't get anything booked, for Tuesday. So,
and that would have been the same thing for Martin, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's flying out of New York as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He might be on the same flight as me coming back.
He might be, yeah.
Only one WestJet flight a day.
Yeah. No, so it should be good. Of course, ultimately, Roy, thank you for letting us all come on and sort of,
of course,
about this a little bit, because time is ticking, and we're going to have fun regardless. But yeah, it's important to get the word out there and get everything sort of locked in the next few days, week or so. And so
there was a lot of people sitting on the fence because they don't know if they could get there. And he's flying out of Albany, a layover in Atlanta.
There's a line.
Oh wow, look at that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't do. That's why I had to get the direct flight, because if we did layovers, it doubles the time.
Right.
You go from a 5-6 hour flight to an all day flight. No.
Going south to go north.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And Bob, you figure you're going to drive from Kelowna?
Yeah, I think I'll be driving, because if I drive, I can bring things with me. So, like the Keith Wilson art and stuff like that, So, and some eagles, right? Because you want people to bring eagles.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, as many eagles as possible, of course. And we're also, Bob and I have been talking about another fellow from Portland or Seattle area who's potentially going to be driving up and bringing some original uniforms and costumes.
Yeah, so Aaron is in the Seattle area.
Yeah, Seattle, I think. Cool. Aaron Carlson. So yeah, I think all told, we'll be able to put together a nice little exhibit. And of course, I mean, let's we've talked about it before, but the idea of having Darren Peters Eagle 3 there would be wonderful. We're still working on that. Of course, that would be a huge draw, over, it would be the only opportunity in North America to see a 44 inch. So we hope we can
two of the original models together.
Two original Eagles together. Yeah.
In North America.
Absolutely. In North America. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We'll hopefully have at least two of the 44s. Well, one of the 44s at London.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Claudia is saying not to change the subject, but
yes,
is that a drawing of the inside of
Gwen's? Ding, ding. She wins the eye.
Yes, it is Keith Wilson's original pre-production design for Gwent. Yes, it is. And
actually, we have another one hiding behind Roy's little logo there.
Yeah, right up there is also the design drawing for the travel tube.
Yep.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and if I spin around, there is the design the design painting for Paranova, Matter of Life and Death.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, here's a close up of Gwent.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Incredible work. Amazing.
And those of you who've only been able to acquire the paperback of our book have only seen the black and white version because they couldn't print it in color, except for the hardcover edition. So you have the whole Terra Nova painting right there.
Nancy said she loves the travel tube. And you got a oh wow out of Claudia.
Excuse me.
David, do you have your Eagle 11 handy?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Good idea, Warren.
Let's have some fun with this.
Let's take it out. There we go.
There it is.
There we go. That's the configuration you see in the end title every week with this pod, and I have the other pods, which I'm going to bring up as well. There we go.
That's so cool.
You can always tell Eagle 11 because it's got flat feet. Absolutely flat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Yeah. The flat feet. And if I bring it in closer, you could see how the cage work here, the spine, leans over onto the command module and then Same thing back of the engine. So it's a hair longer.
You know what's great about this too is that watching those. I mean, I always love the end credits, especially the first season, because everything just the way the music timed out. But when I would look at that eagle, I'd say it looks different than the other eagles throughout the series, and it's so cool to be able to see that and have you present that. And
just about.
Yeah,
that's kind of see the end title just like that.
Yeah,
right. And because of the angle that you see it in the episode, it's like the lab pod sticking out. It almost looks like the rear leg pod. Like you really got to.
Well, because until it shows up in the 2 later episodes, you never see the pod except in that shot, and it's the only consistent. But I have the other modules as well. The passenger module that you see clearly in Mission of the Darians, and I also have the 2 freighter modules. So plus I have a rescue one that Martin Bauer built, because there was never a rescue one, I think, done for this. I don't think they have painted the stripes on the smaller one. But I'm just going to bring the original modules with me because they'll fit in the carrying case.
No, that's really cool. Well, Dennis Chevalier is joining us from Canada, by the way. So just want to say hi to Dennis. Thanks for joining us, Dennis, and good to see you there. Jeff Rubin commented, he said the nose is a bit pointier, it appears.
Yeah. No.
And then Martin says, was it the 11-inch on the cover of the England Breakaway?
Yes. Yeah. On the Breakaway one, that's the 11-inch that you see on the cover over the waist dump. And the 11-inch also shows up. I'm trying to remember where else. It's in Dragon's Domain. Every time you see the 2 eagles pursuing each other, the flight after they dump the modules, all the flight shots are of the 11-inch. They cobbled together a second 11-inch so they could fly side by side. But when the eagle without the pod pulls alongside the ultra probe, it's the 11-inch because they use the smaller ultra probe to dock with the alien ship.
Gotcha.
So you see the 11-inch primarily in those 2 episodes, that and Mission of the Darians. But in the first season, anytime there's a long shot of an eagle flying between planets, it's the 11-inch. I've only picked that out a couple of times in the second season. It's harder to differentiate it from the other models because they're doing a lot of 22 shots in that one.
Gotcha. Claudia is asking, she's saying, so what was the one that was on the US Year 1 cover?
That's the 44.
That is okay.
That's the Rescue Eagle configuration that they shot all those shots of the eagle taking off and landing on the pad. They took one shot of it and they just cut the eagle out because it was a standard ITC publicity photo.
Cool.
Not the same eagle not the same shot that's on the cover of the Powys books. That's one of the eagles from the Blackpool exhibition that somebody took a picture of because you could see the landing pads on the pod are a little bit off kilter.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, this guy's it goes without saying, this is a fascinating, when you get up close and personal to this thing, you're going to be able to look in between and see exactly how they built these things back in 1975 with just a basic wood panel. It's all held together with a couple of butterfly screws, believe it or not. And it's a really fascinating look into the technology of the day, right? And how it translated into one of the actual panels used in Command Center. So that'll be on display as well. Yeah.
No, that was used in the day after, right?
Yeah. You know what? All of these panels were built for the Altaires, and then they were repurposed. Into
when they did Command Center. Yeah, you could tell the difference between the repurposed panels and the ones that were salvaged from year 1.
Yeah.
Because because he did a design change. He did a lot more lighter panels for Altaires in year 2.
Yeah. You're right. And Bob, I think Bob even has an X5 computer panel. So these came from Jim Winch, who got them from the exhibit. Was it Blackpool? The traveling exhibit that was had all of the Command Center pieces. But yeah, anyway, Jim Winch had them for years, and so we were fortunate enough to acquire a couple pieces ourselves. Very cool.
Yeah, somewhere around here, I got some of the labels, like the X5 computer label on it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
But,
Martin's asking, Roy, are you thinking of doing a pre-con show the weekend before the con? Why not? That's
There it is,
idea, Martin.
Yeah.
Very nice, Bob. Wow, look at that.
X5.
That's original main mission.
Yep. Wow.
Panels
Very
above
cool.
that.
right, because those they would have been used in main mission and then ultimately in command center.
Yeah.
The back.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Thanks for showing that.
Yeah.
And you too, Warren.
Yeah. No problem. No problem.
That's why when they pulled them out of the walls to show command center emptied out in another place, you saw the square holes because everything plugged right in, and they just wired them from the back. Simple, but it works.
Yeah.
You have to do that sort of thing.
They look great on the screen.
Just like who knew most of the comm locks were basically blocks of wood were painted on numbers. They look three-dimensional, but they weren't.
With one exception, the one that you have.
Yeah, and I think there were a couple of hero ones that they would show in close-up when they didn't need the screen, but they needed something that looked a little better, because I think there's some photographs of one of the hero ones on a red background that we have, because it definitely has three-dimensional buttons, but they, for all the background people, they didn't need to do that. The same thing with the stun guns that were, a couple of them were solid, but most of them were just vacuum form.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the comm locks, there are a couple of, I think, what was it, the Dunris cards? Martin and Barbara are holding their
those are the shots. Yeah, so they had hero ones that, because I think they were all handmade, so they only made a couple of ones like that. But most people, they didn't need to, because you wouldn't have seen the fact that the buttons weren't three-dimensional. But that's common. You always make a couple of hero props that you're going to show up in person, and the rest of them are props that could be thrown and dropped, and it's not going to be a tragedy.
Well, I think it's interesting too, and this is just being like a fan that's just like looking out for it. You could see a scene where a commlock's being held and they're utilizing it, and it's got the special decals on it where it's the hero. But then if they click to the camera changes to a different scene, and then it's on their belt, it's a totally different one where they've switched it because it's not getting the attention for the detail.
Right.
But,
I mean, the commlock that Simmons puts down, or Koenig puts down before Simmons picks it up, it's got completely different detail.
Right.
The picture was turned sideways, so things like that happen.
The other moment that comes to mind is from the Testament of Arcadia, when Lisa Harrow is holding the commlock and she's talking to Luke, and they do a close up, and when he's holding his commlock, you could see the special detail. It's like white red instead of the red white for that moment. And then later on, when it's on his belt, it's reverted back. It's just little things like that.
Things you pick up, in immunity syndrome, you have the cardboard commlocks, because they have to burst into flames.
Right.
And that was kind of obvious. Those were really flat.
and they're holding them like this, which they never do.
Yeah. But it was 256 imaging on a little TV. You were supposed to notice those details instead of.
That's the thing. There's pros and cons to high def and 4K, because the famous scene is from Alpha Child, when you see the pile of stun guns.
Yes.
Right? You can tell how many are just vacuum form. Fakes.
Yeah, it's funny. I did a screen. I enhanced the screen image on Devil's Planet when he goes for the weapons rack, and the two that are are on the rack, and zoomed in on it. And you can see that it's the vacuum form ones, and what they did was they just burned them up. But the detail is just like so bad on it. But it served its purpose. Back in '76 was. And
the vacuum form ones worked pretty well in forgetting the title of the episode. With the rocks.
All like blisters.
When they had to have a Maya repairing a stun gun, they just took two halves of it and they put all the transistors into it.
How can you forget all the blisters, David? It's in our book.
I try and forget it. It's an episode you try and forget. Because it keeps up at night. Going, how could they have filmed this?
I always think about
Collins Skylark with the crooked buttons, because everyone loves that. which begs the question. It shows up in so many episodes. Why did someone say this is terrible? Replace it.
They should have had us there for their continuity.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of continuity. That's why I remember talking to Rob about how when you watch Breakaway, it's like you could tell why the episode took so long to shoot, because somebody was keeping track of the fact that all the clocks on the composts were following actual time. And they cut back and you'd see it moved 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, all through the episode. It was moving in real time. And it's like, no wonder they didn't do that. All the episodes after that, the clock was all pointing straight up or something, because it was like, how can you do this?
Yeah, for continuity purposes, that's major.
An episode in a real time, watching the clock constantly, you need a clock person.
Yeah, that would get old really quick.
Yeah. So. It's just one of those details that sounds like a good idea when we built the prop, and then we realized, oh, this is going to be a problem.
Now, here's a question. How many composts did they actually have? Was there 2?
Probably. Because I don't think you ever saw more than 2 in a shot.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of the composts were detailed all the way around. I think
they only had 2 sides.
Probably 2 sides, yeah, because they were built in a way that they could be rotated. So I think there were some corridor shots where you saw 2. So
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
there probably were 2 that they just moved around. But also that every time they moved to a different set, all the monitors were moved, because they didn't have a lot of monitors either.
Jeff Rubel saying, I seem to remember reading that there were 6, maybe not.
Well, it's possible, because Main Mission was one of the few standing sets. So the one in Koenig's office may never have been moved unless they were redoing the set for something else. Right. Although in a couple of cases when they did, the compost was still there. So, there may have been cases where they had additional ones just because it took time to move it and wire it up again. So it's possible. The best way to figure that out is how many composts are in the blueprint for year 2, because that was a complete standing set.
That's true. I think there were 2 in that.
There was one outside a command center, and then was there one partway down the hall?
Probably, and then and there was one in medical, wasn't there?
Yes.
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. Yeah.
So there were at least 3. I'd have to look at the blueprint. I don't have it in front of me, but that's possible. I would tell you that, because they would probably have used them all up, since the idea that season was to not have to move to too many new sets, just so they could shoot faster.
Yeah.
I never would have considered that they would have shuffled the compost around like that, because there's even certain scenes in year 1 where you can see the wires connecting the compost to through the ceiling.
Yeah, and if you look carefully at Main Mission, you'll see wires coming out of the control panels across the Main Mission floor. Simply because you're not going to plug into the actual floor.
Right. Yeah.
But that's just again, because you're seeing things so much clearer on the HD prints. Good and bad,
Yeah.
Missing wall panels, all sorts of hole in the wall. That's like I've always said about year 2. If you look really carefully, the reason there's labels all over the place is that it's covering damage to the walls.
Is that why they did that? Is that what the reason was?
I think that was part of the reason, because if you could see very evidently, especially on the year 2 Blu-rays, that the sets look a lot grungier.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Dirty scuff marks.
Yeah. I mean, it was partly, I think, to add a lot of color, but I think there were labels just thrown all over places to really just hide damage. I think they were thrown onto the colored light panels to keep light from bouncing off as well. Camera lights, because that lighting took them forever to do. That's why they didn't like Main Mission, because it took forever to light that set.
Right.
It was all to make the production run smoother.
Just a curiosity. I was just curious.
It's a lot of things that occur, as when Rob and I were doing the books, it's just you come across things that go, oh, that makes sense why I think that happened,
Yeah.
Because they had all these big ideas when they started the show, and you realize, gee, if they were going to do that every week, that was going to be a nightmare.
Mm. Jeff Rubel said the spacesuits got grungy also.
Oh, God, yeah. God,
you could see it in the collars and everything.
The collars,
dust, and
the wrist gauntlets. After this first season, they had to put actual clips on them to keep the gloves on, because they were originally just plugged in with little wooden dowels into holes to keep them in place. But they had to put these clips on because the dowels wouldn't hold anymore. Because it had worn down. I mean, we had one of the spacesuits at 2019, and I actually had Barbara Bain's spacesuit once years ago, and you could see how it was banged up.
Crazy.
So it's wear and tear. But when you're doing a show where you don't have time to send limited things out for repair, you have to make do.
Right. And it was essentially like a prop. I mean, that's what it was.
Well, they all were props, but it's the thing with any prop on a show. It's just it's got to work. Things fall apart from handling. It gets dropped. Anything can happen to it. I mean, that's the thing with the Eagles. They were, Jan, who's doing the tremendous one in his garden. He's like he's obsessing over trying to match paint. And I wrote to him and I said, it doesn't matter what you do, because the Eagles all changed, because every time something happened, they had to repaint them. So suddenly something's gray that used to be jet black. A little nerdy on one part has suddenly been changed because it fell off. This is just the norm thing when you're using things. You're not building these Eagles and sticking them in a glass case, never to be touched. Damage happens.
Martin commented, there were 4 composts according to the layout in the making of the book: outside main mission, down the hallway, living quarters, and medical section.
It's possible there may have been 6 or 2 were backups for other sets. So they may have just used 4 on the standing set. So it's possible that 6 is the true number.
He means outside command center.
No, I mean, it's command post in total.
No, I know, but he made a reference to main mission. But if it's in the making of book, then it's
right, Bob. Yep.
Yeah. Because that means, I mean, the layout of the 4 composts in year 1 could have still had one constantly in Koenig's office.
True.
And then the other ones perhaps moved around depending on which set Keith Wilson built that week.
Right. Most sets would only have one compost in one spot, but the corridors may have had 2. Yeah. And then if they wanted to have a room right off a corridor that they'd walk into with a camera, then they'd put a compost in there. So it all depends on what kind of setup they were using for that episode.
Yeah, because main mission was the only standing set for the first year 1, right?
The only consistent standing set, even though it was redressed a couple of times for other sets. But every that and the Eagle and the travel tube were the 2 consistent standing sets. But the Eagle and the travel tube, I think that they are on wheels and they can move them around to different sound stages, because sometimes the Eagles in first season were set up in a corridor between the sound stages, and they also had to wheel the Eagle set into the wild sound stage where they built the alien planet, so they can walk out, onto the planet. Or in Full Circle, they took at least the door wall outside so they could walk out into Black Park.
I thought that was pretty cool. The only thing is, the only giveaway though is it's dark in there. They couldn't light it, but
that's simply because the difference between outside and inside lighting.
Right, but it was still pretty cool that they did.
It kind of makes sense, but it just meant that all they had to do was bring that wall out instead of the whole interior set. But they had the time and the luxury of time to do that in the first season. Where the second season, I think there's 1 or 2 episodes in the second season where they actually do have the Eagle set off of a planet. I think All It Glisters is one of them, where they actually did move it to the other soundstage. But
Okay.
that was a rarity. So beyond that, that's why you see so many different sections of Medical Center in the first season, because they keep the setup for 1 or 2 episodes, tear it down because they didn't need it for the next 2, and then build up something else because, oh, now we're going to do an intensive care instead of general admission.
Because it was always changing. It was constantly changing.
Right. Same thing for the power station. They shot pickup footage for Alpha Child while in the middle of shooting Full Circle, Force of Light, so they could make use of the set before they tore it down. So that's why you see certain sets again in another episode, because they shot them back to back or same time.
Yeah, that's a great example right there.
Yeah.
So Warren, any other information you wanted to share about Calgary, or?
You know what? I think we covered things nicely. The only other thing I wanted to add on there before we wrap up here is as far as Bob and David's book, I just want to encourage people, because you have to understand the logistics of travel again and from different countries with a bunch of books. So I just want to say, guys, if you can give a couple of websites real quick for people to purchase the books in advance, if you want to bring them with you to have signed, that would be make the most sense.
Well, the first book to everything that might have been, you can get on Amazon or go right to Telos, Telos, and order directly from them, especially if you're in the UK. I think they print them here as well. So if you order through Amazon, you're going to get it printed here. The second book, maybe there, has to be ordered through Anderson Entertainment. It should be on Amazon as well in their store. So I know they're trying to get some books. They have to, I think, ship them over here or something. But it also may be print on demand as well.
Yeah, you might want to do that sooner than later too, because with the event being 6 weeks away, and if you are interested in doing that, and now you will have books with you, you said too, right? Or
I don't have extras. I don't know if you were going to order any, Rob.
I'm not ordering any, but I have some. So
yeah, but I don't have any.
I can bring a small number.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's in everyone's best interest.
But it encourage you to order it or bring your own if you already have it.
Yes.
Okay. And that would include Bob's first book as well as David's tech manuals. So lots of opportunities there to just dig through the library.
Not only the Space 1999 one you see behind Roy, but I also helped out with the UFO one.
Right.
I consulted on that one.
And there's always this one too, David.
That old thing.
Yeah. Or I even put on the page. I mean, bring an old copy of Starlog Magazine. David would be happy to sign it.
Sure.
Yeah. So lots of possibilities. No, I think that covers it, guys. And do you guys have anything else you'd want to add real quick?
No.
All right, cool. I'm just going to do a quick my shout outs here real quick, because I always like to do that. Speaking of Starlog Magazine, back in the day, Starlog number 4, just going to include number 4 because I had an interview with Nick Tate in that, and that was one of the earliest issues. Yeah. So just as a reminder, in fact, if you have Starlog 4, maybe you want to bring it along and have Nick autograph it. That might be a consideration. So
if you have Starlog 7 with the poster, which was my first issue, because I consulted on that, or if you've ordered the poster from Jeffrey, I would say, you could still order it, but what's going on right now with Etsy, I don't think you'll be able to get it.
No. And you were referring to the Eagle blueprints that were in Starlog.
Yeah, he was selling them. He was selling a print version on Etsy, but from what I understand, there's issues because of that SVB bank collapse with Etsy. So if you got it, great. If you don't, well, because Jeffrey was autographing them, so if you want, I could autograph them as well because I consulted with him on that before, and that's how we got together before we did the tech manual.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then All Roads Lead to Star Trek with Nick, Star Trek The Next Generation, Final Mission in 1990, and then also Deep Space Nine, Honor Among Thieves, 1998. So just wanted to throw that out there as well, too. quick shout outs, real quick. Mike and Mary Beth on Wednesdays, March 15th, this at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I should say. Standard Time is gone because we are daylight savings time now. They're going to be covering the 1973 movie Westworld. They are doing Robot Month for their show for Sci-Fi Distilled, so they will be covering that. And excellent movie. In fact, Ross and I talked about that movie probably about 2 years ago. So definitely check them out. They'll have an interesting discussion as they talk about Robot Month on Sci-Fi Distilled. And then also Country Gate Players, the theater group that I belong to, as does Shari. It's actually how we met. Their season is back, and it's 2023 is here. You can find out if you are in the local area of Belvedere, New Jersey. You can visit www.countrygate.org, or you can visit billscorado.com. The first show is going to be Sylvia, and that's by A.R. Gurney. The dates are Saturday, April 22nd and Sunday, April 23rd, and then also Saturday, April 29th and Sunday, April 23rd. The Sunday show is the matinee at 2 p.m. and the Saturday evening show is at 2 o'clock. So definitely, if you have the opportunity, check that out. Also, a quick shout out to my friend and co-host Ross Amico. He does 2 shows over the weekend. One is Picture Perfect, which was on last night at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and then, or actually Standard Time. And now the Lost Chord will be on tonight, and that is at 10 p.m. And you can listen to these shows that are at www.wwfm.org. And real quickly, I want to just give a shout out to Trek Long Island. Trek Long Island is going to be May 20th and 21st. And that is going to be a huge event. This is the first time that they are actually doing this specific Star Trek event taking place. The hotel is sold out, but there is area hotels that can be booked. For more information, please go to www.treklongisland.com. And again, that's May 20th and 21st. And also, want to give a shout out for Wonderfest, which is coming up. This is going to be June 10th and 11th. And for information for Wonderfest, you can go to www.wonderfest.com. Gordon Moriguchi and Todd Morton, friends, and actually they
are like one person, so
it's a symbiosis there. They did the 2017 and 2019 conventions with me back just a few years ago, which we were referencing. They are going to be there at Wonderfest, and Nick Tate is also planning on being there as well too. So for information, you can go to www.wonderfest.com. It is also the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, which is really scary. So anyway, with that, lastly, this show is going to be actually celebrating its the ending of its 3rd season. The 4th season is going to be kicking off. The anniversary date of the show was April 3rd. We started back in 2020, which is crazy. And
it's another pandemic, baby.
Yeah, it really is. I had wanted to be doing something constructive and creative, and came up with the format of it, and it's just kind of gone from there. So very excited about it. This is the 186th episode. Really appreciate everyone's involvement, and it's just been nice having friends like you guys on here and us talking about stuff that we love. So it's just been an opportunity just to connect with everybody. And if you think about it, Bob's in Canada, Warren's in Canada, David's in New York, I'm in New Jersey. So we're all connecting. So it's pretty cool.
We're at opposite ends of the country.
Yeah, and in different countries too.
Yeah. That too. Aren't we doing something next week?
Yes, we are going to be, and I don't have a slide for it, but David, we're going to be doing that at 7 p.m. and that'll be next Sunday, and that's going to be on the 19th. And you want to tell our folks what that will be? Yeah,
we're going to be talking about the Quatermass series. These were early television serials that the BBC did live back in the 50s, and they spawned 3 Hammer films, and there have been some remakes and another film since. And if you are familiar with especially classic Doctor Who, you're going to see how much of them were influences to Doctor Who as well. So we'll be talking about them, what it was like doing TV shows live, and the differences between the films and the TV shows.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And that's going to be next Sunday, and I'll be sending an invite out, and a reminder of the folks so they know about that.
Roy, wasn't there a convention coming up with Catherine Schell?
There is. That's going to be in August, and that's going to be the Long Island Doctor Who convention. I don't have a slide for that yet, but yeah, that's coming up. That's this year. So yeah, Catherine Schell's actually going to be there. Yep. So yeah, thanks for that reminder.
We'll have to plan something for that, because she's the only one that's missing from autographing my tech manual.
Nope. There you go.
Gotta be a completist, you know.
But guys, thank you so much, and much appreciated.
Yeah.
And as I always like to say, live long and prosper.
Yeah, see, I can't do that. I'm the Jew who can't do that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. No, terrific. Thanks, guys. I appreciate all your help, and
we'll
Roy in particular. Yeah. Roy, just really quick, has been my rock in planning all this, and as well as Bob and David. I mean, I can't thank you fellas enough for your support and encouragement. This has been a challenge. I mean, and this goes back to Bob and I originally announcing this in 2019, and the way the world changed. It's been a rocky road, but we're slowly getting back to things. And thank you all truly from my heart.
Warren, I'd like to say we appreciate all you've done to help us out. The virtual conventions were a blast, and especially the last one, which you let me participate in a lot more, which I had fun to do. So I'm looking, and the fact that you're going out of your way to make things work for my wife and I when we come up for this. So that's terrific. And of course, we all also owe everything to Roy, who set up the 2017 convention and got me to come out to that, my first convention in 30 years. So
everything is linked. Yeah,
everything started with Roy. So if it wasn't for Roy, Rob and I wouldn't have done the books. So it's all Roy's fault.
I want to thank you guys. No, thank you to all you guys, because I mean, seriously, I mean, the connections that we've forged over the years and everything. And then David, I mean, I've grown, we're not that, our age differences, we're pretty much, right there with each other. But it's just that I would look forward to Starlog Magazine for that space report coming out. And it was, the fact that, I was able to reach you and connect with you, and, everything just went from there. So I'm very happy about that. As well as meeting finally.
I'm just the same as, you sometimes you have to take the risk and reach out to people.
Yeah.
If I didn't ask the right questions, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with Jamie Anderson on some projects, which was a dream come true. And now to work with Rob and you guys. So it's, you just have to sometimes, just get your all those little butterflies out of the way and say, let me ask. The worst they could say is no. So.
No, that's true. But Bob and Warren have been instrumental too in regards to connecting with different individuals and just bringing, people into the limelight. So, thank you for that as well. So, I mean, we all helped each other, and it all came through. So much appreciated on my end. And so just want to say that as well too.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Right. Well, thanks, fellas. Yeah. Really appreciate it.
This has been fun. See you all again.
Take care.
We'll see you soon. We'll see you in 6 weeks, everyone.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Oh my God. Okay. Bye.